guys, so this is Alexis and I'm going to show you guys how to wrap a pendant. So what we're going for is something like this, and it's super easy to do. You can do it with really any tumble or crystal point, like these would be perfect. So keep watching and I'll go ahead and show you how we're going to wrap this pendant. So first, you need wire. Now, I am going to be using some square 20 gauge, and I like this for making this style. If you don't have this, that's totally okay. You can use whatever you want. So I'm going to be using this and some half round wire, and this is 21 gauge dead soft. If you don't have half round, a smaller gauge wire works too. For this, I like to use 26 gauge, but again, you can use whatever you like. You'll also will need pliers. So I am going to be using these short nose pliers, these needle nose pliers. You'll need wire cutters, of course. Another good set of pliers to use would be something like this. If you have some bent nose pliers like that, that works too. And again, I'll go ahead and link all of these down in the description if you're curious on what I'm using. You will also need something to make your bails. So I'm going to be using this. This is specifically for making bails, but if you don't have this, you can also use a pen or a pencil or something like that, and you just need it to form it. So it's not a big deal if you don't have that tool. So to start, I am going to take 3 pieces of my 20 gauge square wire. I'm going to clip them about here. So this is about how long you'll want your wire, and you'll need 2 more pieces. So go ahead and cut that. Okay, so once you have your 3 pieces of wire, and line them up like this so they are nice and stacked. There should be no gaps, and they should be side by side. So first, we're going to be making the bottom portion, which is kind of where the stone sits. So to start, I'm going to take my half round wire, and if you're using half round, you will see that it has a flat end and then one side that is kind of domed. You can't see it very well in the video, but it looks like a semicircle kind of. So you're going to take the flat side and put that up against your wires. So it should look something like that. So once it's flat against your wires, keep them as firm as possible. Okay. So once you have that, you're going to start wrapping this tail end around. And this is just to kind of secure them. So once you have them wrapped once, take your pliers, pinch. So then it's kind of secured. So then you're going to continue wrapping. And I'm using the long end of my wire. Once you have this on, this is the end that we're going to clip. So you just keep wrapping. And do this until you have, let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 of these. Do it until you have 10. And you can clamp as you go. Like that. Okay. Okay. So now that I have 10, I'm going to push these together and get them as neat and as possible. You can clamp as you go. Okay, so now we're going to clip this end. And what you should have is your base looking something like this. So now I'm going to clip off these tail ends, and I'm doing this on the side that the stone is going to sit in. I'm doing that on the inside so it doesn't snag on clothing and whatnot. So, clipping both sides. Okay. So now you should have something like this. Okay. So now you get to decide which side of your stone you want to sit in the bottom of the pendant. So I think I'm gonna wrap it this way so it goes like that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put my stone down, and you're gonna kind of start to form these wires around the bottom of your capuchon. So I do it like this and push up, and just to kind of get it started. See, so now I have kind of a U shape. So I'm going to flip my stone over and then do it facing towards me. And once you're kind of have it wrapped about to there, we're going to bend the very back wires inwards. So we're making this little cage in the back so the stone doesn't fall through the other side. You're going to take your pliers and you're going to decide which side you want to be front and back. I want this side to be my back side. I'm going to take this back wire and just bend it inwards. Like that. And you're going to do the same thing for the other side. Okay, like that. And you're going to kind of make a little X, and this is what's going to hold your stone in. See? So now we're going to bend these back, and I start about where the wires intersect, and that's where I notch the wire. So I'll show you what I mean when I say notching. So you're going to grab the wire and bend it back like that. So I don't know if you can see very well, but I bent it up and then brought it back. You can see it a little better on here. So you're going to bend it in and then bring it out again. And then that's what's going to hold it in. I'll do the same for the other side. And it's okay if it's not perfect. I mean, it's the back of a pendant. But if you want to make it look good, you can. So this is what mine looks like. I'm going to maybe even it out a little more, but again, not necessary. Now that you've got that, again, check the fit. Make sure everything is looking good. You didn't bend the wires or anything, and if you did, you can straighten them out and fix it. So this is what I have so far. And now you can see I can hold the top of the pendant and the stone sits in there. So now what we are going to do is we are going to begin making the bail. You're going to put your thumb on your pendant to hold it in place, and again I'm holding it from the other side as well. And you're just going to bring these wires up. I bend the top out a little bit and just pinch them together. And this is kind of where you're going to start your bail. I prefer to start my bail. I leave a little gap just because I like the way it looks. If you want to pinch your wires firmer and start your bail closer to the stone, that's totally fine too. Again, this is your creation. You do what makes you happy with it. I do have these fancy pliers. They're very wide-nosed, and this is what I use to pinch my wires and make sure that they're even. This is where I kind of make sure that the pendant is symmetrical. Again, you don't have to if you don't want to. If symmetry isn't your thing, that's totally fine. You can make it however you want. But I like to get mine as symmetrical as possible. So I'm going to mess with it and then kind of pinch. And see, when I pinch, I'm doing it like that at the very top. So once I pinch it, you can see that it's kind of forming more of a bale type shape. So after pinching it, this is what I have. And we're going to start again here with the wire that you used for this part. And we're going to wrap up and make the bale look like that. So this is what I have, and I'm pretty happy with how it looks, so I'm going to start with the bale. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your half round wire, or whatever wire you used for this part, and you are going to thread it through like that. And I'm going to grab it with this finger, and you just want to kind of, right now we're just kind of securing it. So I wrapped it around like that. And again, you can do either side, doesn't matter. Okay, so now we are going to pinch that to kind of secure it. I'm just going to put this piece across, and we're going to hold on to this, and this is where we start wrapping this around. So you want to get this as tight as possible because you don't want your bale to come apart. So as you're wrapping, it should look something like, so my camera will focus, it should look something like that. You just keep wrapping. So I do this 3 times around all 6 wires, and this is what I have so far. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my back 2 wires, or back 4 wires, excuse me. I'm going to take my back 4 wires. So the only ones that should be up are these 2 at the front, and this is where we're going to wrap and make this our bale. So I bent my back wires back like this so I can fit this half round wire in as close as possible to the base. I'm going to keep wrapping. Oops. So I'm going to keep wrapping and just go up those 2 wires kind of like that. And let's see. So as I'm doing this, I'm making sure that they are not overlapping, and if as you go, you can take your flat nose pliers and just kind of clamp them to make sure that they don't slide, they're not moving, and that there's no gaps. Pinch them this way too. Helps close the gaps. And then just keep doing this, and I'm going to go to about right there. So I'll go ahead and do this, and I'll see you guys in a sec. Okay, I'm back, and this is what I have. So, you can choose to make this longer or shorter. Just keep in mind that the longer you make it, the bigger this part of the pendant is going to be. But the smaller you make it, the smaller this hole is going to be. And sometimes I've had this happen to where I accidentally make it too small and the chain will not fit. So just keep in mind when you're making this, make sure that your chain and everything or whatever you're going to use to tie it around your neck fits. Otherwise, it's kind of upsetting when it doesn't, but that's why I made sure to make it this length. So now that we're happy with what we have, we're going to clip that, and then we're just going to tuck this wire to the back and clip it, and then I'm going to just clip off any excess. Okay, cool. And now we have our bail. So then what you're going to do is bend these out, and I do this. So I bend these out, and I do this because as you bend this back to make the bail, these wires will try to move. So if you don't bend it, they may slide up and cause gaps. And it's kind of disappointing when that happens, but if you don't want to do it that way, that's totally fine. Okay, so I'm going to take my round object, and we're just going to put it on there like that and just press. And what I'm doing is I'm just kind of getting the form of the bail. I'm not going to use it the whole time. So now, because these wires are in the back, I'm going to split them on the sides, 2 and 2, to the side like that. And then I'm going to push this down. So there, that is what I have for my bail. Okay, so for this front piece, I'm going to just make sure it's tight, and then clip, and tuck that part in. See? Like that. Okay. These are the 4 wires that I had in the back. I'm going to take those and pull them up. And so, if you go to the back of the pendant, we're going to fold these 2 side wires up to the front. So I'm just going to take them and bring them to the front like that. And doesn't really matter if it's perfect because we're going to be clipping these. So kind of where they intersect right there is where I clip them. So we're going to clip it like that. I'm going to clip the other one right there. Okay, so now you have these 2 short wires, and what you're going to do is you're going to take them and fold them into the cage that we have so far. And what that does is it kind of secures this on to the pendant so it doesn't come up. And do the same for the other side. Like that. And then this is where we're going to secure our stone. So you can pop the stone in, and mine fits pretty snug, so I'm going to go to the back. I'm just going to push these out a little bit. It just helps the stone not lean to one side or the other. There's a possibility that it could pop out if you don't. So now I have these 2 wires on the side like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the front one up like that. I'm going to do the same with the other side. And this is where we're going to kind of start. And this is where we're going to kind of start securing our stone in. So make sure you're happy with how it sits and adjust it a little bit. And I think that looks pretty good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go on the side of the pendant. Go stick the pliers as close to this base as you can. And then just notch it forward like that. and that will kind of begin to secure the stone. And straighten these out. And then you're going to do the same thing with this side. Get as close to this base as you can, and then add a notch like we did for this side. I'll go ahead and do this side and I'll be right back. Okay, so I notched mine on both sides. It's looking pretty good. If you shake it, my stone isn't rattling around or anything. If I push on the back, it won't pop out. That's always a good sign, 'cause stone won't fall out. So you can mess with the front until you're happy with how these wires are sitting. I try to get them as symmetrical as possible. Again, it's just how I like to do it. So now what we're going to do is add little decorations, and this is usually the fun part. So this is where we're going to add the little swirls and the loops, and you can do it how I'm doing it, or you can do it however you want. It's always fun to add tons of loops. You can add no loops if you want. It looks amazing either way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two wires, I'm going to push them up, and then I'm going to start bringing them forward like that over the bail. Once I have it like that, I'm going to push and kind of start to turn, and that will add a little bit of a curve in it, kind of like how we have going here. So I'm going to take this one and just pull it and wrap it around the back side. See? Like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing for this one. Just pull it to the side and wrap it around the back. Okay? And we're just going to leave those there for right now and make sure that this is how you want it to look. If you're not happy how the loop is sitting, you can undo it and just redo it. It's always fun to add more loops in here if you want to add more loops. Another thing you can do is twist the wire. If you have square wire, it makes a super cool twisty design. I'm pretty happy with how this is sitting. I'm going to turn this around, and we're basically going to tuck these wires inside this cage, and so that way they don't snag on clothes. There's no possibility of them coming undone. So I'm just going to snip it about there. Snip the top one too. So that's what I have, and they're short enough to tuck into here. So I'm going to take my bottom wire and just kind of push it that way. If you have the shorter, or if you have your needle nose pliers, this is really good for that, because you can just kind of pinch it in there like that. See, so it just pinched in there. I'll do it again for the top one. See, so you can just pinch it in. And then when you look for the front, you can kind of see them, but no one's gonna notice. And as long as they're short enough that they don't come out the other side, you should be okay with them not snagging. So now we're going to, with the other two wires, we're going to add the loop. Okay, so this very front wire, let me situate my wires here. Okay, so this very front wire, I'm just going to bring this down like that, and you can make it super snug against these wires, or you can make it looser. You could add a loop if you want. I'm going to do the same thing and pull it around, and I am going to snip mine right here and tuck it like I did with the other two wires. So I'll do it like this. See? Okay, and now time for the loop. So what I do is I pull this down like that. Okay? Kind of in the same direction that we did the last wire, but I'm gonna stop and I put my thumb here so it doesn't come out when I pull on it to make the loop. So I put my thumb there and hold it against the pendant, and you can start making your loop. I just kind of freehand it. If you have some round nose pliers, some people prefer to use that, but really I like to freehand them. It gives them a more of a, they flow a little better. So I have that. I'm just gonna spin like that. I have my little loop. Okay. And so once you have your loop like that, you're going to take this bottom wire and bend it back. So we're kind of starting to bend it to the other side. And what we're going to do is we're going to bend it up and tuck it in back here on the opposite side of these ones. And that's what we have at the front. Oh, I'm so glad with I'm so happy with how it turned out. So it looks like I really won't have to trim much. So I'm just going to bend my wire in. This one may be a little trickier, so if you find it challenging, you don't have to do this, but I love this design, so I'm going to go with it. Okay, so you just tuck that in. And that is what we have. This lavatory is so pretty. This is the result, and if you'd like, I can also show you how to oxidize your pendant. Just let me know if you want to see that, and I'll go ahead and make a video. This is my first time doing this, so I may adjust a little bit as I go, but again, thank you so much for watching this, and I will have my Venmo linked at the end of the video for any donations. Again, they're greatly appreciated as I am doing this for free. I appreciate your time, and you'll have to let me know how your pendants turned out. Tag me on social media and show me what you've come up with. Again, thank you guys. Bye!